Welcome back to the Late Late Podcast. I'm your host, Mase in Real Life. This week's episode is a pretty interesting one. I know I say this quite a bit, but we like to kind of like up it every week, right?
Yep.
So I'm super excited to have Frank Mack on.
How's it going?
Good. So first off, before we dive in, because I have some questions. Before we dive in, you want to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Just a local producer, hip hop producer, local DJ. Basically anything involved with hip hop for sure, but all genres in Fredericton. I kind of, dabble in. So yeah, that's just kind of what I do. Make music, make beats, DJ, take care of artists, whatever they need, right?
So how long have you been in the industry?
I was writing rhymes in grade 10. So I don't know what year that would have been. That would have been 2011, 2010, 2011. And then I just was like, I'm going to start making beats. And that's kind of where I guess, got in the industry, was by making beats, showing out to shows. So over 10 years now.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So when you first started, like, do you find like the making the beats kind of like open the door to be producer? Because that's what you are, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was researching you and I was like, man, it says all these other things. I was
Yeah.
and you just said DJ, producer, and stuff like that, right? So do you mainly like identify as a producer, or are you just all that? Like identify as all of it?
Well, there's I guess there's layers to it, because like as a DJ, like I also try and take on the artist side more than like the DJ moniker, because I find when people put DJ in front of your name, it kind of gets like you get pigeonholed. But like I do a lot of stuff in my sets that are just like, I'm not just like playing the songs, like I'm doing a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So like as a producer, it's a different lane too. So I'm making beats, I'm taking care of artists, I'm doing that stuff, and then I'll also engineer as well. So like I'll record guys or people, I'll cut records for them, I'll do whatever they need. So there's kind of like a multi-layer different, but it's hard to like, they do kind of bleed into each other, but I do try and keep them separate sometimes, because like the stuff that I be DJing, oops,
It's all
my
good.
bad. It's that insulin alarm. The stuff that I be DJing, it's like not the same stuff that I'll produce, right? So it's like I kind of also have to have two brains going, or two different styles, right?
Yeah, because it's two different like, well, what's the word I'm thinking of? My brain's not working already. Yeah. That's horrible.
It's all good.
I'm gonna jump to the questions though.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So, what got you into music? Like, what was the first kind of like?
I was always into music, just like listening from the get-go. Kind of like, my family was into music. Dad, used to DJ a little bit back in the 80s. Music was always in the house. So I kind of got into it just listening to it all the time. It was a bit of a coping mechanism through a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it grew from. And then it just, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, just kind of grew into like me wanting to make music. And then here I am now, right? So
it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So I was this question ain't on here, so
well,
it's not really not a question. It's more like a observation for myself.
Yeah.
I was scrolling through your Instagram and I noticed like there was a photo of your setup or whatever, and you had a wall of vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
So you a collector, or is it like,
big time.
So
big
like
time.
When you DJ, obviously nowadays it's all digital, right?
Yeah.
But like, have you ever spun records?
Yeah, that's how it started. Like I started doing vinyl sets at the Cap.
Okay.
And then they asked me to do the clubs, the Phoenix, the old Phoenix.
Yeah.
And that's basically how I got into like the digital side of DJing. It was like, okay, well, I can't just be playing, what I have on record. Because what I have on record is like soul, funk, jazz, break beats, things of that nature. So it's not necessarily stuff you want to hear at the club.
That's true.
Right?
That's cool though.
So yeah. But yeah, it's a little excessive. I had to downsize quite a bit, because every time you move, man, it's like, it's crazy. Like I lost count. I stopped counting. I just like, it's over. I don't even want to say a number, but it's crazy.
It's a lot.
It's a wall of records.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I have like one of them like little wooden crates you can buy at like Walmart.
Yep.
That's what's cool.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know. All my stuff is all like dollar records, like little cheap sample records. So it's not like, it's not curated by any means, or like, if I could downsize it to just the records I listen to, it'd be a lot smaller.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time letting go, right?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially vinyl. Like I just find everything sounds better.
Right?
More old school. Like
Yep.
like even VHSs in. Like watching a movie on a VHS is just so
warm something to it.
And I'm guessing we're roughly the same age.
Yep.
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
the whole like nostalgic feel of it, right?
Yep.
I don't know if you remember betas, but them things they're like the smaller VHSs. They were like this big.
No.
Yeah. So well, the only reason I know them
Yeah,
is
yeah.
because my family had a bunch,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they were from the 80s.
Yeah. Okay.
And I had a little Ferrari that was the beta player.
Yeah, yeah.
So I remember like just sitting there. What was it? Cocktail with Tom Cruise.
Okay.
I watched that movie over and over. It was such a bad movie for a kid to watch too. It was
Okay,
it was
yeah,
one of the
yeah.
movies you don't show your kid this movie.
No.
So like from when you started to like now, do you find like the scene is like changed like a bit?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, in
definitely.
a good way or
Good way for sure.
yeah.
Like when I got into it, it was kind of going through a bit of a lull, in terms of like what was being made. Like it kind of had its high point, early 2000s. Like you had First Words, you had Monarch, Fact. Those guys that just like were taking it really to new heights or whatever. And then, life happens. Things kind of slowed down. From what I heard was like promoters really were like the thorn in the side of the scene.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes you get some BS that happens with rap shows, and venues started getting tired of that, and they just kind of died out for a bit. And when I came in, like there were some younger guys doing it as well, but the shows were kind of like really light. People weren't putting music out, so
Yeah.
but it's definitely gotten better post pandemic, for sure.
Yeah.
Post pandemic, it's gotten a lot better, and I think that just like is to everybody's credit, just wanting to work together.
Yep.
And not just be so dog eat dog.
So do you find it like, I'm just kind of going off the whole, like with photography, for instance, like the industry's fairly toxic in the sense of like, it's like you're always trying to be better than the other. Right. And
Sure.
like, see, I feel like we should all work together. Like I kind of agree with like the whole, like the photo that was posted earlier where it's like a bunch of yous, right?
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
exciting. So
yeah.
I'm going to actually jump down a couple
Go for it.
questions. So, is that like a nudge at something that's happening?
No, as far as I know, no. As far as I know, it was just the photographers wanted to get some guys together,
Okay.
and recreate like the double XL shoots,
Yeah.
freshman class shoots, and that's kind of what came of it. I don't know. I mean, I'm working with all of them individually, but in terms of like a big project together with that group, I don't know of
I
anything.
think it'd be pretty interesting.
It'd be cool though.
Let's hope the right people hear this, right?
Yeah, maybe we'll make it like full double XL, do a cipher and everything.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I'm sure there's more to it that I may not know yet, but I'm sure they'll let me know.
That's for sure. So past projects that you worked on that you really enjoyed, like, I mean, to the point that, like, if you had to tell somebody, like, this is a project, how do I word this? If you had to tell somebody, like, to hire you, right, and you wanted to show them a project that you did,
Yep.
like, what would be that past project be?
Probably there's a couple that come to mind immediately. There was a song I put out with my guy Liam. His name is Lenny Lisgar.
Yeah.
And Monarch. That was called Straight Nasty, and like that was like really just like a good period for me where I was like, I made a crazy beat, I gave it to him, he spit crazy rhymes, got it to Monarch, he spit crazy rhymes, and we just finished it. Shot the video during COVID, put it out, and like immediately people loved it. Like anybody that I talk to here in the scene loves that song. And always, they'll chant it or whatever, they'll call for it at shows. So like that's like, for me, that's a big project that I'm like, that was cool.
Yeah.
Another song that I had a hand in that I really really enjoyed. It was these guys in Montreal, Joe Dolo and Mr. Severe.
Okay.
It's called Drug Music.
Yeah.
I made the beat for them. I made the beat a while back, and then I finally got it in their hands, and they made a crazy song with it, and they recently played it at Metro,
Okay.
the rap festival in Montreal.
Yeah.
So that was like crazy to see, just like, 10,000 people just going crazy for these guys, and they're playing a beat that I made.
Yeah.
It was pretty wicked to see, right? So That's probably
I
the
think
two
I
that come to
listened-
mind.
I listened to that one and I liked it.
Okay.
That was good.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not a big like rap. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like hip hop.
Yeah, yeah.
But like rap's like a you know a special taste.
Yep.
Either you like it or you don't.
Yep.
There's certain songs like the ciphers that Matt and all them did.
For sure.
I vibe with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like how that'd be a pretty exciting feeling. Now that I think about that,
It was
like,
wild.
like
I tried to go down there for it.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out. But it was a crazy feeling just to see them post that video, and it was just like, yeah.
something you had a hand in making,
Yeah.
and then it's just like big
Yep.
stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a pretty big show, like
Oh, yeah.
festival.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were opening for Lil Wayne, so that was pretty
Okay,
crazy.
so that's
Oh, yeah.
that's a good size then.
Yeah.
Do you have any up and coming projects that you can kind of talk about?
Yeah. Well, projects are weird for me, man, because it's like the way I work with people is like they'll reach out to me, and then I'll get them like a batch of beats in folders.
Mm-hmm.
So like something could come down the pipe that I don't even like know about until it's like ready to go. But in terms of like me, I do have something I'm working on, and it's like it's in the infant stages right now, but it's called Frank and Friends.
Okay.
So it's just gonna be a bunch of my beats, and then a bunch of the homies just rapping on my beats.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's gonna be really cool. So like right now, like in the summer, I'm DJing a bunch, working during the day a bunch. So I don't have time to do studio sessions, but I do have time at home to make the beats.
Yeah.
So I've been spending the summer just like working on the beats, making the beats, saving which ones I want to work with.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably start trimming it back in the fall and booking studio sessions with guys once things slow down.
So is that something that you're gonna make into like I don't even know. Do you post on like do you have a Spotify account where you post?
Nah, because nothing's been under like my name. Everything's kind of been just like a beat that I sold to somebody, right?
Oh, okay.
So no, I don't have one of those just yet.
Okay. So this Frank and Friends thing, is this like something that might be like the first thing to kind of step on to Spotify?
Yeah, that'll be the thing that I put like it'll be under an artist name for sure.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe like a solid album, like a vinyl?
Maybe. I mean, man, it's crazy expensive to put stuff on record.
It is, yeah.
It's just there's not enough pressing plants.
And you got to send away so far.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I might get some grant money or something. I don't know. We'll get that figured out. But I'm really just trying to like really take the summer to make the beats, fall to record it, and then really start trimming everything back for a release in the winter so that I can release it in the spring.
Okay.
So like I said, we're a ways out.
Like you said, infant stage.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that though. That sounds
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
There's a couple things recorded already. A couple songs that like I've done with guys that have just been sitting on hard drives that we're gonna redo. But yeah, it's ready to get going.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
So kind of like changing gears, I guess.
Yeah.
What's something that you could tell if you could tell your 13-year-old self, right? I always like this question because it's always, I mean, obviously it's different for everybody, but
Yeah.
it gets a little more deeper, right? So what's something that you would tell your 13-year-old self now, if you could?
Probably just it'll all make sense someday.
Okay.
We'll be fine. Like yeah, you're gonna have adversities and things are gonna come your way, but you just gotta weather them, and it'll all work out. It'll all make sense because sometimes things come your way, you don't know why, and they just feel like, a bunch of shit happening to you, but you just have to like weather through it, and then those things will show why they happened eventually. You know what I mean?
That all makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm just gonna check this real quick to see if it's still on. Okay, it is. That's the worst thing ever when you're recording something and it just stops and you're still talking away. I always have to look at this red light. Too. Like, okay, it's still on.
Yeah.
So you've worked with some like crazy artists, some pretty cool people.
Locally.
Like I mean, local. I look at Matt like as a crazy artist. Like this, like Monarch.
Yep.
Like I worked with Jared when he was over here.
Oh, nice. Right on.
Jared and I know each other pretty good, and he's coming on the podcast actually this month.
Oh, nice.
So I'm super hyped about that.
Yeah.
But from people that you've worked with or whatever, or people you want to work with, right? Like who's someone you'd want to work with that's like dead or alive that would be your go-to type thing?
Jeez. That's a hard question to answer because like I've got all kinds of people that I would want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know like what that would look like. But from a producer standpoint, like a beat maker standpoint, I'd love to just sit in on like a Mad Lib session or something, like just watching him make beats, watching him do his thing. I don't even want him to be involved. I just want to watch, you know what I mean? Be a fly on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the big thing. Like in terms of like working with people, it's a hard thing to say because like I meet new people all the time that I like immediately gravitate to and want to focus all my energy on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know about answering that. I don't know.
Well,
But like I said, from a producer standpoint, probably Madlib. Probably just watching him do his thing, just being a sponge and soaking up knowledge, right?
For sure. It is a hard question to answer, though.
It is.
I'm going to come back to it. Think about it.
All right, I will.
And then maybe at the end we'll just, if
right.
it pops in your head or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read back. I got dyslexia, so I'm trying to read these fast, and it's like screwing with my brain. So like a piece of advice that you could give, like not even young people, just people in general that are looking to get into the industry, not just as musicians or producers or DJs or whatever, just in the industry. Like what's a piece of advice you could give them?
Probably just stay true to you. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Just make something you enjoy making, and it'll find its audience. Don't worry about pandering because, like, I mean, that might work out, but that's not staying true to you. So it's like you got to be real about why you're doing this, and if it's just to make money or if it's just to be a trend, like part of trends or whatever, that's cool. Like, do your thing. But if you want to get into a scene and really be rooted in it, just bring something original to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you find that people like, because I know that's a huge thing in photography and videography, is like, oh, it's a trend, I'm gonna do this or do that, right? Do you find that people that take that route don't last? Like, do you find there's like a
I think everybody has to do it to a certain degree at some point. Like, I think when you're getting into it, like, you're gonna look at the people that you idolize or the people you look up to, you're gonna want to do that. So that's the other thing is like, there's nothing wrong with like doing the same thing somebody else is doing, but you have to find your originality in it, right? Because I mean, it's kind of like an exercise, right? Like you just got to keep working your creativity and just work it out until you figure out your comfort zone and what you're good with and all those things. So, right. And then like you can take little aspects from all these different things, these different inspirations, and bring them together to make your creative or whatever. Yeah. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just like eventually you have to hop off of it and do your own thing, I think.
For sure. So talking about inspiration and stuff and drawing inspiration from people, who's someone that you draw like the most inspiration from, or like when you started, not necessarily now, because obviously you have your own style, right? But like when you started, who was it like?
Like right when I started, it was like right at kind of the height of like the post J Dilla era of like music, and like people were going crazy for like things that were coming out after his death, and I kind of just like got caught up in that, and that was somebody who I just like I wanted to know everything about. I wanted to listen to everything he put out. I wanted to own all the samples records he used for sample. Like I wanted to have it all, and that's probably who like I said, I wanted to be like. And then eventually I just found my own lane and found my own sound and kind of stepped away from it. But I still pull elements from him and, again, Madlib, Knots, a bunch of these other producers or guys that I take little pieces from. And it's like, all right, how can I put them together, make my thing? Okay. Yep.
So now your creative process, right?
Yep.
I'm always intrigued by people's creative process because like my process is whack compared to some people's, and obviously I'm a photographer, videographer, you're a musician, like a producer and stuff, right? So your creative process is going to be completely different. So what's yours look like going into, let's say, producing a song for somebody, right? Like the beat right up to the end, like what's that look like?
So for me, like, I mean, a lot of my stuff is sample based, right? So back in the day it was a lot easier to find records that I hadn't heard before. So I used to buy up as many records as I could, stack them up, and just listen to records all day. And then I would just record clips into whatever I was using at the time, MPC, machine, whatever I had for gear. I would just record into that. So I would, I'd rip 30 plus samples and then just start knocking them off, making little beats that way. That's probably like how I started, but now I've gotten to the point where I'll take like skeleton tracks. So it's just like maybe just a little piece of the sample, a little bit of drums or something, and then I'll take it to an actual studio and get guys to play over it, or add little things to it, or I'll send it off to somebody and I'll totally get to get them to add their stuff to it and then get it back to me, right? That's kind of what I do nowadays.
So it's changed quite a bit.
It has changed quite a bit. It's still true. Like I'll still listen to samples all day. It's just changed a little bit. The sampling game is a little bit harder because of like nowadays, especially with like distros and stuff. They'll like to get your song uploaded or get your like the final product uploaded. If it's got a sample in it, they'll detect it with like a recognition software. So it's a little bit harder to kind of like skirt around paying for royalties and that, that type of thing. So now there's a lot more loops being made by other producers, samples being made by other musicians being, bought by producers to make the beat. So I do that sometimes too.
Okay.
Just out of necessity. I'm not in a hub where I can buy, hundreds of records all the time. So
yeah.
So,
scrolling through your Instagram earlier, I noticed that you had a photo up. Did you used to work at one of the record stores downtown?
Backstreet Records.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not Backstreet. Jeez.
The one on the...
I'm going to get so much shit for saying that. Second Spin.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Jeez.
It was on the one of the side streets there.
Yeah. It was on York and just one of the ones by Jack's Pizza there.
So now what was that like? Like I was just getting to sit there and listen to music all day?
That was like the perfect job. So I was in college at the time. And I had been going there for a couple of years when they opened up. But yeah, when I got into college, Chris, the owner, offered me a job there, and that was like the perfect job. Just listen to records all day, listen to them before they hit the bins too. Just be able to spot things that I wanted. And then I had a little studio behind, like there was like a false wall in the store. And then I actually had a little studio in the backside for a little bit.
Okay.
So there was times where I just wouldn't leave the place. I'd be there during the day, and then I'd spend all night there. I might go home to shower or whatever, and then open the store back up.
See, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
See, that's like a little snippet, like,
I met a bunch of people there too, like lifelong friends, people that we get together and listen to records all the time. So or go to record fairs together. So
they have record fairs.
They do.
I didn't know this.
They had one this past winter in Fredericton for the first time, or I don't know if it was the first time, but in a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, and Moncton and Halifax usually are where the big ones are at.
So it's just like you go there and you can buy like a bunch of records because there's just tons there. Or like,
yeah, it's a bunch of vendors.
Okay.
So I don't know, 30-ish vendors selling all kinds of stuff. It'll be curated, so different genres, different artists and things of that nature. And then you go in there and you can just buy as many records as you can afford, really.
See, that's interesting. I didn't know about these. Now I want to go to one.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool.
So kind of getting a little deeper. Like mental health and stuff, right? Like I had someone message me, I don't know, it was a couple weeks back. They're like, I like what you're doing, and I like the episodes that have mental health in them because it helps people, right?
For sure.
And it's a super, super important topic, I find.
Yep.
I just lost the question. Oh, right there. So what's something that you that helps you deal with like mental health in the industry? You know what I mean? Like, because obviously every industry has some type of impact on your mental health.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you asking like what's a release or like how do I cope?
Like how do you cope? I guess that's the right.
From a coping standpoint, it's difficult because it's a lot of BS. It's a lot of like egos. It's a lot of like moving parts too, especially when it comes to booking live shows or anything of that nature. Like you're dealing with, all kinds of different people that want different things, and like I don't know. I kind of just like step away for a bit. I'll leave town or I'll go do something. But I also find peace in music. Okay. So as much as the industry can be a headache, so to speak, like I do sit at home and just make music. Like that's something I'm gonna do until I die, because it's something I have to do. I have to like get it out. I have to just do it. Because that's the one thing I can, in my mind, I can control. Something that I'm building and something that I'm doing, and it's like I can find peace in that.
So you never get like to the point where you're like so frustrated. But like with photography, I'll use that as an example for me.
Yeah.
There's times where it's like this weekend I went on like a little vacation, and it was in my mind I was like, I'm not gonna take a camera, I'm not gonna do nothing. I had the camera with me and I recorded and took photos of the whole thing, but I still enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I think it was because it was more of a, it wasn't like I have to do this for somebody. It's like I could just enjoy it for myself. So do you ever get to the point with that stuff where you're kind of fed up with it to the point you just don't want to listen to music, or is like,
No, not listen. Like I'll always listen to music everywhere, driving, cooking, whatever I'm doing, working, I'm listening to music. From making though, like, I might step back from making for a while, especially when I'm like having issues, like, you know, writer's block, beat block, you know what I mean? I might struggle with that, but I'm always going to be listening for samples or new ideas or something like that. So I may stop making beats for like a week, but I'm always listening to what's going on, trying to find new sounds, because to me that's finding peace, is doing that, right?
It's just like the people aspect that gets
definitely. Like there's been a couple shows where I've, before the shows, just dealing with all the moving parts, I had to step away and just be like, I'm unreachable, don't call me. Yeah.
So now, like, the places that they do shows at, right, is mostly the Cap, is it? Or so the Chrome, there's a few. Right? Is it upstairs or downstairs? They usually have
downstairs.
Yeah. Okay. And do you ever like DJ any of the, just like not like the shows, but just DJ for like the clubs?
So I do Chrome. I used to do it a lot more often, I guess. Maybe we'll have to change that. But I'm actually playing on August 19th. But I didn't play since February. So sometimes, like, I play quite often, and sometimes I don't. Just kind of how the, how it rolls, I guess. But yeah, definitely playing the club is crazy. It's always crazy energy in there. So
yeah, I don't really go out that much. It's like when I do, it's like when I used to go out when I was younger. But I just don't know more because I'm old.
Hey, man.
But I go play pool, and I've seen you playing out there a few
I
times.
do patios. I do patios and like smaller shows like that. But usually the club. Oh man. I mean, the hip hop shows are true to me, and like I enjoy doing them, especially because like more often than not I have a heavy hand in putting them together, and I like seeing things work out. But the club is just, I can play bangers and the crowd loves it, and like there's just something about the energy that's reciprocated between me and the people that are on the dance floor. So I guess it depends what I'm trying to like fulfill, I guess. You know what I mean? Because like I'll leave the club and not sleep for 4 hours. So I'll be up until 6 a.m. because I'm just like super hyped. You know what I mean?
That dopamine high. Just like,
definitely.
Boom.
Definitely. And I'm not even doing anything. I'm just like so excited to be playing music.
Yeah. And
getting that crowd reaction to the music that I'm playing.
See, I think that's a huge part in just being in any type of entertainer.
Yeah.
Right? Is really one to, I guess it would be please the people, right? And that's what you're doing essentially. Is you're giving them the right music so they can feel good and dance, and their feel good and dance is wearing off on you, right?
Exactly.
So it's pretty cool. I already asked you that. What the frig? Why is that there twice? So some of the people you've worked with over the past, like, how long you've been doing this, right? Yeah. Do you like? What's the word, man? I'm just having such a brain.
It's all good.
It's like, what's the word I'm thinking of? The ones that you kind of draw yourself more to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Kind of like the ones that you repeat customers, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Do you have like a select few that?
Yeah. I mean, like they're friends, and at the end, or first and foremost, they're friends. They're guys that people that we go on road trips with, go to record fairs with. Like, these are people that I just hang out with in general. Yeah. So people like Lenny Lisgar, Liam, Monarch, those are like probably my go-tos. Shiggy Sean one. Those are the guys that like we go on road trips together, to go to shows. or like I said, go to record fairs. Like I used to live with Sean in his basement, the Rat Mansion, and we would go to record fairs and we'd go to Halifax for shows. Like we were just constantly doing things. So those are guys that like I work with all the time, or as often as I can, but they're also friends first, right? Because I think that's important.
So that being in the industry really kind of like helped that sense out, finding friends.
Oh, for sure.
Right? I don't really have that many friends that I've made through the industry.
Yeah,
or like people I just talked to.
Yeah.
Like Ethan's one of the ones. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's great.
He when he was younger, he reached out to me to do a shoot with him, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And we did the shoot, and he was like, man, you look like you're having fun. And it's yeah, no, it is enjoyable, right? Yeah. I told him, he was like, what kind of camera should I buy? And I was like, just buy like something that you can afford, something good. Yep. And I think he ended up buying the same body I was using at the time, which was Lumix. And I think he still shoots on Lumix, but he just GH5 or S something. Yeah. But no, it's crazy. On my birthday, he shared something that was like, big shout out to the guy that got me into it. And he really like, you know, that's it feels good for me, right? In the sense of like I've inspired somebody to kind of pursue it. And I always talk about like how saturated it is, like photography, such a saturated market. But it's nice to see like he has a niche and he's good at his niche. And it's nice to see like he came out and didn't try to mimic everybody. Right. He came out and did his own thing, right? Yep. And I think that's like one of the coolest things ever. And
I love that he just shows out the stuff. Yeah. It doesn't matter what's going on. He's there. Yeah. He's ready to shoot. He'll shoot all the events, all the shows. He always wants to be a part of everything. So I think he's dope for that, because that's like just showing up is like a huge portion of the battle. Like if you want to talk about getting into the scene, show up. Yeah. Don't sit at home and complain about not being in the scene. Show up. Yeah. You know, and you might have to deal with the egos. That's just what it is. Like you might have, because like it's not that people are closed-minded. It's just like people are probably stuck in a routine or whatever. Just get in the scene. Go to shows. Ask to be a part of shows. DM people. You know what I mean? And I always found Ethan was good for that. Yeah. Just showing out and being like, I'm here. I'm doing this. And he's definitely gotten like really good. Yeah. No. I remember when he first started, and he's always messaged me for questions, and I'm that type of person that I'll always answer if I have an answer. You know what I mean? And I've been in the industry for 15 years. Like, that's half of my life. Yeah. I'm 30, so I've been doing it for a hot minute, and I enjoy when people message me and they're like, "Hey, you know, like, what should I get? This lens or this lens, or what's your take on this?" And I don't know if you get that like in the music sense. Always. Like guys being like, "Hey, I use this right now. Like, what do you think?" You know. Always, and I'm always open to answer people's questions. I'm not here to gatekeep anything. I think that's like, I don't know, it's kind of childish. It's kind of insecure. Yeah. Because you were at that point at one point. You know what I mean? I think gatekeeping is crazy. There's a lot of people that do it. I know, and it's like I don't get it, and I think it's just insecurity, because like they don't want to see somebody get good or get close to where they're at. Yeah. But I'm like, I love it. You know what I mean? Because I want to see more people doing things. I think that's really important. Not to kind of like, I guess it would be, I'm a very humble person, but I think the ones that are good at their art form are the type that won't gatekeep. Right. You know what I mean? Like, like you're good at what you do. I'm good at what I do. I answer people's questions. You answer people's questions. And same thing with Matt. Like when he was on, he talked about, I don't think he talked about it on the podcast, but he did talk about it, you know, like guys messaging him and asking questions. It's like, I'll tell them, you know, whatever. Right. So, I think it's the ones that think they're at a level where they're not. Yep. They're like, I don't need to tell you nothing. Right. I think that's horrible. And kind of going back to Ethan, kind of like going to the shows, it's cool that, you know, he doesn't look at it as a status level, right? That's his enjoying the process of creating. Yeah. And which is huge because too many people in all industries get to the point where they're like, I'm only going if this name's there. Yeah, yeah. Or if I'm getting paid this much. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. But it's like, you got to enjoy what you're doing. It can't just be solely based on, you know, money and whatever's going on, right? Well, if you enjoy what you're doing and you're doing it and really enjoying it and doing a good job, that all comes, right? It takes time, but it does. Oh, it does. It does show up. It does show up, yeah.
Yeah, no, like 15 years in, and I'm just starting to find like my niche and stuff. And like I was doing boudoir for a while, and then I don't know if you've heard the story about me getting stabbed or me stabbing myself on accident.
What?
Yeah, I have a huge cut here. It's crazy. New Year's night or New Year's Eve, I guess.
Yeah.
I pulled a knife out of my pocket to put in my pants pocket.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It opened and
no,
it cut me 3 inches deep.
Dude.
And I lost 2 quarts of blood, hit an artery.
Frig.
Yeah, I almost died. And I grew up in a Christian home, right?
Yeah.
So after I was home, my grandfather came to the house and he was like, "Hey, where would you have been if you died?" And I was like, "Oh." It's
wow.
like, now I got to think about this.
Yeah,
and, since then, I've been kind of pushed towards my faith more.
Yep.
So I used to shoot boudoir, which is like really lustful and stuff.
Yeah.
I just cut that out.
Yep.
And it was hard because it's one of them things that I made a lot of money at.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and but no, it's finding my niche now is more like corporate stuff, right?
Yep.
I make big money with.
Oh, there's big money in that.
Oh yeah, I mean they'll pay it too.
Yep.
Even if you do a bad job, they're like, "Here's the money."
Yep.
Like
they're just happy to have it done.
Yeah.
Yep.
And weddings.
Yes.
Stressful though.
Weddings are super stressful, especially like, DJing, I find, is like you could ruin the vibe really quick.
Mm-hmm. One song, and you can't stop that song halfway through because then it's even worse, right?
Weddings are stressful, but I enjoy them. I know some DJs that just like don't take them. Mm-hmm. They say, "No, I don't want to do it." And I'm like, man, that's easy money.
Yeah.
Like 80% of it is easy.
Yeah.
The 20% of it is dealing with like,
the
hardcore requests and the drunk people. But I mean, that's just like, you got to have a good temper and have fun. If you're having fun at the event, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do weddings?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't advertise it because like there's like this stigma on like wedding DJs. But people that see me play often will be like, "Hey, like I know somebody's getting it," and then it's just like it gets linked up that way.
Word of mouth type thing, right? Yeah. That's cool. So like, have you done any this year? Like weddings?
Not this year. I got 2 in September.
Okay.
Like back-to-back weekends, so it'll be
fun.
A good month.
That's how this month. Well, we're still in July, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my August is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm in PEI for a wedding. I'm here for a wedding. Actually, I have two here in August, and I have a bunch of these episodes to record.
Yeah.
But I'm away on the 4th and 5th and 6th to Area 506.
Yeah.
For that festival.
Yeah, yeah.
Never seen Billy Town in my life, and
that should be good.
Super hyped to see them.
That should be really good.
And I don't know if you know who the Beaches are. Like they're just kind of up and coming.
I feel like I do.
It's a girl band.
Yes, they played Canada Day here. I don't even know, man. Like 4 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, they're from Toronto, and their stuff is really good.
Yeah.
But they're there in Crown Lands. It's a First Nations band.
Okay. Cool.
Or group, I guess. It's 2 guys. And what's crazy, I never heard of this. The drummer is the lead vocalist. So like, I think about that, man. Like the whole like jumping around while you're drumming.
Yep.
Yeah.
I seen Anderson .Paak play Jazz Fest, Halifax Jazz Fest. I don't even know what year it was. It was like right as he was blowing up, and that was a crazy performance. Like that guy is crazy energy and still drums.
Yeah.
And raps. It's like, how do you have that breath control?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy.
You'd be winded. Like that's a lot of work, right? And it's impressive.
Yeah.
What's an event or something that you had to go through, right? That was tough. That music really helped.
Probably just 2021 as a year. I got diagnosed type 1 diabetic in 2021, and I lost my grandmother as well, like basically a month apart. And she was like my rock. She was 67 when she died, so she was really young when I was born. And she was always around, so she was like a second mom. So that was really difficult. And then like the whole like changing of lifestyle things that came with now being type 1 diabetic was crazy. And just being able to like go back and listen to the stuff that I like listening to, things that bring me comfort, or just making beats, you know what I mean? Just being creative to stay busy, keep my mind busy, and kind of like not dwell on how my life was changing, or like missing my grandmother and things of that nature.
No, grandparents are like when I find I lost my gram when I was I think I was like 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
And like the same thing, like I was with her 90% of the time.
Yep.
And it's like after that, deaths don't really. I know this is probably going to make me sound cold-hearted, but
Yeah.
I don't feel emotion around death no more.
Okay.
I think it's because it's like one of them things when you lose someone so close to you.
Yeah.
It's like nothing compares to that type of whatever, right?
That's fair.
But no, I've lost like great uncles and stuff since then.
Yeah.
And I've only went to one wedding one funeral since hers. And I don't know. It's crazy how I find grandparents are one of the hardest people to lose for sure.
For sure. Definitely.
And
like
a relationship you build with them is different than a parent.
Yep. Yeah. It's almost like not better, but it's like you go to your grandparents for like they don't get mad at you. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with that side of like, the stupid things you do. They're not getting mad at you for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like your parents won't give you food or like
a
cookie. You're like, I'm running over here. I think for the cookie. No, I had so many things like that. Like I remember my mom grounded me one time and I called my gram and I said, yeah, my mom's being mean to me. Can you come get me? And she comes down and she's like, come on, Mase. And then my mom comes out and she's like, where are you taking him? He's grounded. He said you were being mean to him. Still went to my Gram's house.
There you go. Got out of it.
Yeah, no.
But that's probably, that year in general was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, being diabetic and stuff, like, with the music industry and stuff, like, you really have to pay attention. Like, the alarm went off earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like, shows and stuff. That's late stuff.
Definitely.
And, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, you really have to pay attention.
It's self-managed, so you got to be on your toes at all times.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason that, like, I try and avoid, getting on anything, like getting, smoking too much or drinking or whatever, like, because that's, like, you lose track of yourself, and then you could lose track of this pretty quick.
Yeah.
Right? So, shows is hard. Late nights is hard. I find waking up is hard after a late night.
Okay,
I'm just, especially when I'm out of energy, I don't have that, like, oh, you got extra 15%, like dig. It's like once I'm out, I'm out. You know what I mean? So I do need to like rest. So then, like I said, playing clubs, I'm up until 6 a.m, right? Because I'm just wired. And I'm
that next day, you're
oh, it's a write off.
Yeah, you're not doing nothing.
No, I'm ordering food and I'm just watching TV, chilling.
Yeah, that's intense, though.
Taking care of myself.
Yeah, which is important.
Definitely.
So you're insulin dependent then?
Yep.
Yeah. So you gotta like.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got 4 shots.
Oh, frick.
Yeah.
My mom's insulin, not insulin. She uses what is it called? Ozempic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she takes that once a week or something like that. Man, that's scary stuff, especially with the industry. Like I can only imagine like how hard that would actually be.
Yeah. It doesn't help on the bad days. Like if I'm having a day where my sugars are just not going down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, short tempered or like, whatever. And somebody's just blowing up my phone about something. I do get upset, but it's on my phone. I just don't answer it and I just put my phone down, right? But it does make it difficult to like, that headache of the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were away recently, weren't you? Was that like kind of like to step back and disconnect a little bit, or were you away for?
I don't know. I'm always away. I travel for work.
Okay.
So I go and do office installs around the Maritimes. But I also travel for DJing, so I could have just been out of town, or like I do leave town as well though. Like I do choose to just go and get at it, and like on the weekend I went for a hike. Just went and found a spot on this app that I got. Yeah. And I said I'm gonna go do this, and I did in 4 kilometers, and just felt good.
So do you find that helps with like disconnect though? Like
definitely.
Kind of like realigning yourself.
Oh,
and
for
whatnot?
sure. For sure. I don't think it's intentional. It's just something that I feel like I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Through the diabetes things, like I've learned to really just listen to my body and not like question it.
Yeah.
So it's like if I in my brain it's like we're going for a walk or going for a hike, it's like cool, let's go, pack up, ready to go. Yeah. So I approach my life that way as well. As if something comes to my mind first thing, I'm like either I'm gonna decide on it on the spot. I may not like go through with it, but if something comes to mind, I'm like, damn, should I do that? It's like, yeah, let's do that. Okay. So I find that helps me get out of the house and like disconnect for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good for mental health, right?
Definitely.
It's one of them things.
Yeah.
So that's all the question. Well, I have one more question, but this is this is a good question because I've never asked this before, and it was one of the questions I had in my question banks, right?
Yeah.
What's a question that I didn't ask, right? That you were kind of like, that you wish I would have asked, that you have the answer for?
Jeez.
It's a thinker.
That is a thinker. I don't know. It's hard for me to talk about myself. So I can't even think of a question that I would want you to ask me.
Okay. Well, jumping back to the question we asked earlier.
Yeah.
About the working with people, right?
Right. Yep. Shit. I didn't even think about it, to be honest. But I'll be cheesy and just say anybody that's like willing to work as hard as I am at doing it.
Okay.
I want you to match my energy when we're doing things.
Which is important.
Yeah.
I mean, if you match energies,
Yep.
then something crazy is going to come out of it, right?
Definitely.
Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
It was super fun.
Definitely.
And
Super fun.
I got to know you a little better.
Definitely.
That's the cool thing about these. Like,
Yeah.
You kind of.
You're meeting a bunch of people.
Yeah. I've met a lot of people through this.
Definitely.
Anything you want to add? People you want to give a shout out to, or?
Probably just shout out everybody that's like making music in Fredericton across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that's being creative anywhere, just do your thing. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys in Fredericton, people in Fredericton that are working really hard, and you know they want to do big things, and you know I'm rooting for them. Lenny's an example. Kerr's an example.
Mm-hmm.
These are guys that are just like fully dedicated to making the best art that they can right now.
Yeah.
And it shows. So big ups to them. Big ups to everybody that's just showing out to shows, doing shows, you know, being cool and not being, you know, a dickhead and, you know, spamming people in the DMs and stuff like that. So
for sure.
Yeah.
And where can the listeners and viewers find your stuff?
Probably the easiest place is on Instagram, just because I get the link tree and everything there, and I'm always updating that to link it to new projects and stuff.
Okay.
So definitely Instagram, Frank_Mack_506.
Okay.
It's definitely the easiest place to find me.
All right, cool. And I'll link that on the YouTube video too, so
Sweet.
people can find it there.
Definitely.
But once again, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And all right, guys, see ya.
Cool.